Hey folks, welcome back to Abundant Life Homestead. I've shown you this tractor, my 1947 Farmall A few times in the past, and I realize that every time we do show it, there ends up being something that, well, this isn't typical to a Farmall A, or this is a custom modification, or that's a story for another time. Well, with what we're going to do today, or at least what we're hoping to do today, it's come time for that story. Now, the appeal of these tractors for me is in the fact that they come from a time when if your machine didn't do what you wanted it to do, you modified it. And if your machine broke down in the field, you didn't call your dealer and get a new lease delivered right out there. You fixed what you had with what you had. So although restored tractors that look just like they rolled off the factory floor are neat, I think tractors that have had a long work life and a unique personality are really cool. And this right here is one of those tractors with its own personality. Now this particular tractor belonged to my wife's grandfather, man who unfortunately passed about 17 years ago before I ever got the chance to know him. I don't know just how long he owned it, but I know he used it a lot. He liked to restore old tractors, but he liked to work them. He worked them in the fields. He had his own farm. He worked this one. And as time went by, and he collected more tractors, he started turning each tractor into a purpose-built machine. And this one, this 47A, he purpose-built to be a plow machine. So right off the bat, that's a little odd, because of the given choices, you don't ever really think of a Farmall A as a mid-20th century plow machine. I don't know why he made the decision he did on this tractor, but it worked. He enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed the tractor, but I haven't had the plow. Let's have a little walk around and see what's been done to this tractor. First off, you notice the alternator. It's had a 12-volt conversion. Got a battery back here, 12-volt battery. Got some switches for the lights, the alternator, exciter, and ignition. Got a couple gauges up here, amp gauge, temperature, and oil pressure. That's not really that uncommon, especially for the 12-volt conversion, because it's a lot more convenient, more reliable. We tend to run all of these on 12-volt systems now. The first thing that really sticks out is my lift cylinder. That's not normal at all for these tractors. We got an electric over hydraulic pump here with the valve. Goes down into this hydraulic cylinder. It runs the 1-point fast hitch back here. Now again, this isn't normal for an A. This is not an A hitch. I believe this whole setup is a modified Super A hitch, which means that our fenders aren't actually Farmall A fenders either. They're probably Super A fenders. The Super A were thicker to be able to handle this kind of hitch. And even when these were retrofitted with lifts like this, there was a tank up in here and a hydraulic arm that moved pull the whole arm along here instead of having a cylinder like this. So this is something he came up with, and he's got different pieces of pipe in the toolbox for adjusting the depth of your hitch when it's fully lowered. Castle nut on the end to change those out, and a ring right here to adjust how much you're willing to let this thing float and pop back up. Then up here in the front, this I don't even know what you call it, this bracket that goes down to your drawbar. So with his setup, this is necessary but not normal. I'd imagine the original broke on this because they did have a bar that connected the two, but this is made out of a thick all thread with a nut welded on there. This part probably happened in the field at some time, but it works. It works so far for what I need. But probably one of the strangest things you'll notice about my A is right here. My A's got a weight box. There ain't no other A that I know of that has a weight box. And this is made to hold up to 3 suitcase weights. Like I said, he built this to be a plowing machine, and he needed weight on the front. So unfortunately I don't have the weights, but I can't lug those around with my bad back anyway. But my A does have a weight box. So I've owned this tractor for 9 years now. That's when my wife's family decided to go ahead and have the estate auction from her grandfather. In the years leading up to that auction, I knew of this tractor. I'd driven it a few times. We would take the family tractors and put them in the Portland Tractor Engine Show every year. But I also knew of all of her grandfather's tractors. He had about 15 total by the time he died, and I had driven several of them. But for some reason at the auction, I fell in love with this 1947A, and I had to have it. Several bidders wanted it in the beginning, but I wasn't about to give up. It got down to me and one other person, and it really got ridiculous, but I was relentless. I wasn't letting go, and I paid a pretty big price for this thing. Unfortunately, though, I didn't get the plow. The bidding on the plow just got silly, and I backed out. So all I got was the tractor. And in the 9 years that I've owned it, I really haven't done a whole lot with it. I didn't want to work it too hard because it was a family heirloom. So I've really used it as a trailer jockey. I got me a cradle for a ball hitch that I can put on the back of that fast hitch. And I can drive trailers around the property, and then I've used it to skid dead trees out of the woods. Because even though this tractor is very similar in horsepower to my Kubota, this Farmall A has a whole lot more torque in the low end and is much better about getting those big logs moving and through the woods. So that's pretty much all I've done with it over the years. And in that time, I've more or less forgotten that her grandfather had built this with intention of being a plow machine, and at one time it had its own plow. I was surprisingly reminded of that fact at the end of last year's Portland Tractor Engine Show. And this is that plow. It's a completely custom made by her grandfather. I couldn't even tell you just what the parts came off of, but it's a 16-inch moldboard. Got a nice big coulter wheel, some kind of leaf spring in here for probably an auto reset trip. Got the wheel on the back, and of course the single point fast hitch in the front. So all those modifications her grandpa made to that tractor are with the intention of running this plow, this very plow. Even though it took 9 years to get it, this is the plow he built for that tractor. So how in the world did I get it? Well, it wasn't there, so I can't tell you the whole story. But at the end of this year's Tractor Engine Show, I had planned on making 2 trips up to Portland and back. I was going to go get my Kubota and then come back for my Farmall. Well, while we're packing up for the show, getting things together, my father-in-law insisted that I take my Kubota home and rest, and he would bring my Farmall home later. So a couple hours later, when my tractor comes pulling in on his trailer, it's got this plow attached to it. After all these years, he had got with the guy that bought this from me at the auction, and it turns out the guy that bought it didn't do anything with it. It wasn't a good plow for any of his tractors. And for all that time, this thing just sat there. And my father-in-law got it off of him for a fraction of what he paid at the auction. A fraction of what I would have paid all those years ago. So it had about 18 years worth of rust on it yesterday. I got it cleaned up. There's still some pitting in the moldboard and stuff, but I think it's going to be all right. We're going to try to plow with it today. So the idea today is to come out here and plow part of the south pasture. And when Grandpa bought this land many, many years ago, up until that point, it had only been used for a dairy farm. And he kept horses on it. So for at least the last 100 years, this ground has been trampled and unbroken. We know it's got a hard pan. We found that out when we were digging out yellow jacket nests out here. And I know it sheds water quickly because the water will quickly pool up down in that corner and down here anytime that it rains. So a few years from now, as Melinda and I get older, we want to be able to use this area for our gardens so that it's a lot closer to the house. The plan is to do exactly what I did in the back pasture 15 years ago. I want to tear the ground up, and then I'm going to broadcast sow some seeds, a seed mix I have that has, oh gosh, it's got oats, and it's got buckwheat, and it's got clover, and it's just got all variety of wildflowers in it, and it's got millet, and it's got some regular wheat, and it's got sunflower seeds, all kinds of stuff in it. A lot of things that are good for the soil and good for nature and the critters that use this. So we're going to tear it up, we're going to broadcast that seed, and then we're not going to touch it for several years unless it just becomes completely overgrown with weeds. Now we hope that we can plow today, but honestly at this point I'm really not sure. The ground may be a little too wet. Problem is, the forecast is showing 7 days in a row of rain. If I can't do this today, I can't do it. And I've never plowed with that A. I've never plowed with that plow. I don't know if I'll be able to pull through this stuff without weights in the front. And I don't have weights. So we're going to see how it goes. And if I just can't break it up with the A, we'll continue this story of the A some other time, and maybe I'll put a moldboard on the Kubota or even put the chisel plow on it just to break up the ground enough to get some seed down. But the intention, the idea, is to hook up the A and get it moving. Now at some point I'll probably give you a video all about plowing and the finer points of plowing, but that'll come from a tractor and plow that I'm used to. with never plowing before with this tractor and this plow, I can tell you I'm probably going to have to stop and make a lot of adjustments on the fly. We'll get to those as they come. And then I'm going to have to move this drawbar. I want the edge, the end of the cutting edge of this plow, the end of the plowshare, to be just inside the inside of my tire, and it looks like we're kind of far from there. Yeah, let's see how much adjustment we've got here. Well, we don't have much on that hole. Where else we got? There's, I see. That looks too far. Well, not really. That's about where I want it. Now, I gotta get my bar line back up. Oh, I don't know if I can do that with the plow on here. Nope, the drawbar is not going to move with the plow on here, so I'm going to have to take the plow off to put this in position. Now I can get my bar line back up. Right there. Now we'll put the plow back on it and see how close it is to being straight with the tractor. Okay, so now I gotta look and see if the beam and the plow blade are straight with the tractor, and I can tell you it's not. It's canted off a little bit to the left. So we're gonna have to come up front here or come to the middle. I'm gonna have to adjust the mount here. I think I need to take this probably just one hole to the right. Get in there. It looks like it's lined up. There we go. Now I'll lift it back up and check. now the beam appears to be straight with the tractor. So now I've got one more adjustment that I know I've got to make before I get in the field. I need this blade and this plow angled slightly up and to the left so that when my right tire drops down in the furrow, it's sitting straight and it's cutting straight. I'll do that with this crank here, get it started, and then we'll probably have to adjust it out in the field. That'll be a good starting point. All right, I got my field marked out with a center line of where I want to plow. Let's put this thing in the dirt. I'll start off in first gear, just see if it'll do it, and we'll see where it goes from there. Get that out of the way. Nope. Well, you didn't like that at all, huh? That again. See if this changes anything. Well, started pulling again, but then it died. Double check these wires again. Good Lord. A little bit of everything right now. Now, why did you die that time? You had literally no reason. And that's just gonna take my whole evening away. Okay, that did not go well at all, did it? First 80 feet or so, it seemed to be going good. It was cutting just fine. Then it bogged down and died. Started it back up, immediately bogged down and died again. I'll probably cut most of it out, but several times I jumped off. I tried to adjust the carburetor a little, make some little fine-tune adjustments to the timing. Never could get it going, and then it dawned on me. Last week, when I was making the video for adjusting timing on this tractor, I made the comment that I shouldn't be handling the points with greasy fingers. And my response to myself at that time was, it'll be fine. Well, now I can tell you it's probably not fine. My points are probably froze up or not breaking. It's probably fouled up my combustion chambers. Hopefully it hasn't damaged my coil, because that coil is only 6 months old, or the wire that runs to the coil, a little easier to replace. But so we'll get this fixed eventually, but it's not going to do the work of plowing the south pasture. No, we're going to work with what we got and do the next best thing, which is plow with the Kubota. It ain't gonna be as pretty, it ain't gonna be as neat, it ain't gonna be as deep, but the Kubota gets the job done. So I thank you all for hanging out with me today. Even when things go wrong, it's still a good day, it's still a blessed day. If you have any questions or concerns, or you have any of your own experience you'd like to add, put it in the comment section below. I greatly appreciate it. And if you appreciate this video as much as I do you viewing it, but you're not the kind of person to engage in conversation, let me know by hitting the like button and the subscribe button. Otherwise, until next time, keep on nourishing your dreams, cultivating your passions, embracing the beauty of God's creation. I hope you have a wonderful and blessed day, and we'll see you then.